I woke up today not feeling like shit, still on medical leave, and I can be a little bit dramatic, so I wore a dress and red lipstick. I still have to get used to recording myself in landscape. And the reason is because I was brave. I decided to be a little bit braver, and created my YouTube channel. So all of the videos that I'll be taking will be uploaded there instead of in Instagram. And I just wanted to thank my friend Shia Bagan for giving me a nudge. If you hear snoring in the background, just please ignore it. It's my partner John. He's still asleep. I don't know what to do about it, so I'm just gonna ignore it as well. So I received 2 questions lately, and it reminded me that I was still going to dedicate an episode to answer questions that I gathered in October during World Mental Health Day. And I've forgotten about it, so thanks for the reminder. You guys know who you are, and I'll be answering them today. So the most common question that I receive is what is the difference between a psychologist or a clinical psychologist and a psychiatrist, and who should you approach first if it's your first time, right? So simply put, a clinical psychologist or therapist, that's where you discuss your experiences, discuss and process your experiences, your emotions. It's where you unearth childhood trauma and identify like a strategy how to manage them, right? No diagnosis, no medications whatsoever. Oh my god. Psychiatrists, they're the ones with a medical degree, so they're doctors. They assess symptoms and treat them with medication. So they're the ones who prescribe medications and diagnose people if they have a disorder. And by symptoms, I mean like panic attacks, trouble sleeping, anxiety, what else? Basically things that affects your daily life. So if hindi mo na kaya, like trouble sleeping, if you're like sleeping around 2 to 3 hours every day, which happened to me, that's already a sign that you should approach a psychiatrist first. But then in my experience, so I was diagnosed by a psychiatrist, and I was given medication, and that really helped. I've discussed in one of my previous episodes what my medications are, and they're a lot. Anyway, going back, so my psychiatrist prescribed medications. They really helped me a lot to function. But then, I still felt depressed and anxious, and it kind of felt like a band-aid solution, right? You keep treating the symptoms, but you're not really addressing what's causing the symptoms, right? So for how many years, nagme-medication lang ako, and it was only in 2018 that I was able to have access. Note, access to therapy because therapy is fucking expensive. I think one of my friends had someone undergo a psychological evaluation, and it cost him/her 15,000 pesos just for the evaluation, and that's so fucking unfair. I mean, I respect their degree, their job. I know that they've earned it, but it's not their fault, you know. It's just so fucking unfair. Like, everyone needs therapy. Anyway, I'm digressing. So it was only in 2018 that I had access to therapy, and that's huge thanks to my employer. I'm just really, really lucky that my employer, Shell, is such a progressive company, acknowledges the importance of mental health. So we have in-house counselors. We call them counselors because that's a less intimidating, I guess, term. And I can understand, like, people can be intimidated by therapists or a clinical psychologist. Counseling is better. But anyway, I keep digressing. So in 2018, I started therapy, and that was the only time that I really got better. Because in therapy, you process your emotions, like what I said earlier, and through my conversations with my therapist or counselor or clinical psychologist, I was able to really understand my behavior, my thought patterns, where they were coming from. And it's usually rooted from childhood trauma. And, you know, that's something that you can't get from your friends. Maybe there are friends who can, but it's not something that you can get just from anyone. They're trained professionals, and they know the process, how to get you there. And, you know, even how many years? 3 years in therapy, there are still a lot of things that, you know, I've been learning about myself. So I was just discussing this with Shia the other day. It's so important to have insight, because you can't unfeel your emotions, right? They're just, you feel them, and no one can tell you otherwise not to feel a certain way. But having insight, knowing what you're feeling and knowing where it's coming from, it loses its power over you. You know, you can get in control, and, you know, you can think of ways how to manage those emotions or behavioral patterns, etc. So I'm not saying that the psychiatrists will not help, because they do. I think they need to go hand in hand. So especially for people with disorders, you need those symptoms to be treated. At the same time, you need to understand where the symptoms are coming from, right? And I can talk about therapy on and on, but I also want to give time to the other question that I received. Oh, by the way, speaking of access to mental health care not being accessible, so I recently discovered something that was released or implemented by our Vice President Lenny Robredo. It's access to free mental health care. So the website is www.recoveryhub.ph. I posted it on my Instagram. I haven't tried it yet, but I do intend to try and, you know, see how the process goes, and maybe share with you what, you know, what to expect. So I urge you, I really do urge you to take advantage of that. I mean, grabe lang. I mean, that when I saw that, it really made me happy, because again and again, I keep repeating myself, everyone needs therapy. There's a lot that we've experienced, and especially during our childhood, and ang daming bagay from our childhood that can affect our behavior as adults, nang hindi natin alam, you know. So again, please do, and if you've tried it, do let me know how it goes. I'm really curious how the process works. Anyway, the other question that I was reminded of that I received are the side effects of medication and how I manage them. So there's a lot that I've experienced, right? So that includes that other question that I received, if it affects someone's sex life. It does. It can affect your libido. I mean, when you're depressed, I don't think you can't even function anymore. You can't even get yourself out of bed. I don't think, you know, you would be in the mood to have sex, right? And I've experienced that. How did I manage it? To be honest, it wasn't really my priority. My priority was to get better. And I didn't really see it as a problem. And I'm just, I guess, privileged enough that I have a supporting and understanding partner. And so, you know, for those who are in a relationship or in relationships or about to get in a relationship, that's one of them. I mean, those with disorders or those who experience symptoms of depression or anxiety, it's important that you find a partner who will support you. Some medications can make you numb as well, so it's not necessarily the depression or the anxiety or whatever mental health condition. Sometimes it can be the medication. So I mentioned in one of my previous episodes that I take lamotrigine. So lamotrigine affects your libido as well, and I am now up to 250 milligrams. I started at 25 milligrams many years ago. Now I'm at 250. Although I don't have any problems anymore. I don't really feel numb anymore because of the medication. I guess I found a way how to manage it. But yeah, that can affect your libido as well, the medication. And if it's really that important to you, you know, and I completely understand why sex can be very important to you, you can have that discussion with your psychiatrist. You can tell him or her that you're feeling numb and it's affecting your sex life. So I don't know, there's always a way to get around it, right? So it's always a cocktail, the right cocktail of medications that will work for you. But again, in my case, it wasn't really the priority. How I managed it, I just really let it pass that phase, to be honest. Again, it wasn't really my priority. Another side effect would be brain fog. So I'm not sure honestly if I'm using the term correctly, brain fog. The anti-anxiety medication that I take, Rivotril, can have that effect on you. Yes, it can calm you. It can, you know, sobrang nakaka-relax talaga siya. But then, my mind isn't as sharp anymore. I sometimes struggle with words when I'm speaking. Like, I forget words, so I think I'm not as articulate anymore, to be honest, when I'm speaking. And sometimes I just forget things also, like hindi na sharp yung memory ko din. And again, how do I manage that? I just came to terms with it, to be honest. Like, mas gugustuhin ko to be healthy, to feel better, and I don't really mind if that affects something, like, you know, me not being as sharp anymore, you know. I know that's something very hard to accept, and I've heard people who wanted to stop taking their medications because it dulls their creativity. It dulls their mind. But again, you can have that conversation with your psychiatrist, right? If it really doesn't work for you, then maybe they can find another way how to, like, if you have anxiety, they can find another way how to manage your anxiety. Excuse me. But as for myself, I don't know, like, it's temporary. At the moment, this is what I need. These medications are what I need to keep me functioning, and I want to function. I want to live normally as much as possible, right? So I don't really mind the side effects. What are the other side effects that I experience? I think that's it. I think that's about it. I mean, my psychiatrist often warns me na, like, the antipsychotic that I'm taking for my sleep can increase my appetite, hence gain weight or feel bloated, whatever. But I haven't really experienced that, although some people whom I have spoken with do experience that. Again, if it doesn't work for you, have that conversation. So it's really, so I keep repeating myself, it's really important to be consistent with your consultations, right? Because if you experience these side effects and you just decide to stop because you don't like them, don't like how it's affecting your life, then wala, the symptoms will persist of your mental health condition, I mean. As opposed to when you stay consistent, have a constant dialogue with your psychiatrist, mama-manage mo yung symptoms mo and at the same time the side effects, right? And I know it's expensive, but again, I chanced upon this post that our vice president implemented. I'm just really feeling hopeful na sana makatulong siya sa madaming tao, lalo na it's free. Oh my god. So please do take advantage of that. I have nothing else to say. Those are just the two questions that I wanted to discuss. Maybe I can dedicate another episode for the other questions. Today, that's it.